This video is made possible by our loyal Patreon supporters. Visit patreon.com/PsycheTruth.
Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a full back massage for the lovely Gabriella. Let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have time to watch this video right now, go ahead and save to your watch later and just watch whenever you get a chance. So before I get started with the massage, I like to just position the arms in the way that makes the most sense. And I'm just gonna open up these traps a little bit more and create a little more space around the hips. And I like to do some dry work before I add the oil. There's a lot of different ways that you can do some compressive work around the shoulder blades. So they're pretty straightforward just with the thumbs. And I'm just going to work my way down the back. So I'm just going to do this right side today. I would encourage you to do both sides if you are doing this at home. Just landing on these erector spinae and just kind of waking everything up. So you're not just working on the soft tissue, you're also waking up the nerves. It's really important to just give everything time to adjust to sensation and pressure. I'm just working my way down. And I'm actually going to land on this glute medius, but I am not offering much pressure to start, even though it might look like I am. Like I said, just really important to give everything time to kind of wake up. And sometimes it's just more comfortable for me to work with a soft fist when I'm starting this work in the glute medius. This is something that 9 times out of 10 I will do if I'm doing a full back massage, because it can really help everything. Also getting a sense for how bony Gabriella's sacrum is, just making sure that I'm not doing anything that feels uncomfortable. Starting to add a little bit more pressure and just reinforcing my wrist with my opposite hand. You don't have to do that. Gonna work my way around this hip bone and just getting into some of that connective tissue that can get really thick and sticky. And I'm gonna travel back up the back with my forearm, maybe offering a little bit more pressure. And I am gonna introduce more medium type pressure around the scapula. And Gabriella is someone who prefers deeper work, so I might start moving in the direction of deep-ish tissue a little sooner than someone who doesn't have that preference. And you can't go wrong with this compressive work around the scapula if you're someone that is wanting to learn more about doing compressive holds or doing deep tissue in general. This is a great place to learn a lot because this is the highest area of tension in the body. You're going to find a lot of trigger points without having to work too hard. Find them. So as I do this kind of warm up, I'm not using max pressure, but I'm offering something that's a little more satisfying for someone that likes deeper work. I think the biggest challenge is just to maintain a healthy posture when you're doing that kind of work. Sometimes I find myself hunching over way too much. And grabbing my oil, using a medium amount of oil today. If I'm taking my hands off of my client, I want it to be at the beginning and not very much throughout the massage. Trying to get the right amount of oil from the start. And starting with these long, luxurious effleurage strokes along the spine into these erector spinae, passing over that iliac crest is a lot more satisfying than stopping short of it. Can offer a little bit more pressure without any more effort just by changing the position of your hands, using those soft fists. And just nice and slow is the way that I like to work, but there's no one size fits all when you're working. On my way up, I'm not really trying to apply much pressure. I'm just trying to stay in a nice flow. Keeping my spine nice and long as I do these strokes, and really leaning into that connective tissue around the hip bones as I finish that stroke down. Starting to focus in on this right side. There's something really satisfying about the hands moving in the opposite direction with purpose and intention. So I'm bringing my right hand around the shoulder blade, and as I finish that stroke with the left hand, wrapping my hand around that hip bone, just creating more space. If you start to feel overwhelmed, you can just leave that hand where it is. I feel like there's too much to focus on. And I positioned Gabriella's arm out a little bit so that I don't have to fumble around with her arm as I explore different techniques with my forearm. So, working on these lats and all of that really fibrous tissue around the hip. I might land on that glute medius towards the end. This is a very good technique if you don't have a lot of time, because you can do some really good work working with such a broad surface area. You have a lot of control. And I like to just land on that glute medius, and at this point can start introducing a little bit more pressure. This is really good work to do if somebody has low back pain or even hip pain. And the rocking is good for the hip joints. It is a good distraction technique. And in some ways it's easier for me than just a static hold. but just be sure that you're landing on that muscle belly and not any type of bony structure. And just working the outer edge of my hand around that hip bone. Just finding graceful ways, graceful transitions. And just continuing with a really nice flow as I work my way around that iliac crest. And it would be really nice if you could access the QL muscle with this technique, but it usually takes quite a bit more effort and isn't something I would do unless someone wanted deep tissue or needed it in the low back. And so I'm ready to make the transition into the mid back. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start working my way up the back. So as I make these transitions, I'm not losing contact with Gabriella. You don't need to keep your hands glued to your client, but you don't want to take your hands off very often. And just working my way up these erector spinae. Just offering a nice, consistent pressure as I work my way up. If you want to start working a little more locally, you can start working with your elbow a little more, working with less of your forearm, doing littler strokes. Getting into this lower trap as I angle my forearm. Starting to focus on all these trigger points around the shoulder blade. And now is the time for deeper work in this area. Everything's nice and warmed up. So I'm a little less, I don't know if cautious is the word, but this area can sustain deep tissue a little bit easier than other areas. So, and maybe not as slow to offer deeper work here if somebody's ready for it and requests it. With these compressive holds, I'll usually offer just the smallest amount of movement because I don't want my client to feel like I'm poking them. I like to offer a good bit of finesse around this area. Pretty much everything you do around the shoulder blade is going to feel really good. That's a great place to explore massage if you're new to it. And just working this muscle fiber from different directions can be really helpful to the muscle. And it's also a way for me to give myself a little break from leaning over in that deeper work. And a few more passes down the back. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this massage up. Just ending with some long, luxurious effleurage strokes. And I like to bring that effleurage stroke into the shoulders and the neck. It just feels so much better than not including the neck. Sometimes towards the end of our massages, we can feel a little like short on time or whatever, but it's really important to keep the same pace even to the very end, just to keep that massage as satisfying as it can be. And that is all for today. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's video, you should go to our Patreon page where you'll find some really great exclusive content as well. I look forward to seeing you there.